Hi everyone, I'm Summer. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'd like to share my techniques for color matching. The video is mainly divided into 3 parts. First of all, let's take a look at color contrast. We will use the method of color contrast to match colors. Finally, a picture will be combined to apply color contrast to our painting. The application skills of color matching might be what everyone is most eager to know. Then we are ready to start. First, let's take a look at a few pictures. There are 2 color blocks, red and blue, in this picture. Put these 2 colors together. It will give us a very strong visual impact. But such a feeling is not particularly comfortable. There will be a feeling of exhaustion and a desire to escape in the eyes. But these 2 colors are put together. Is it really so intolerable? Is it a completely unacceptable color combination? I don't think so. We can see many such red and blue combinations in our daily life. The most typical example is the packaging of Pepsi. The main colors of the bottle body are blue and red. It is also a combination of blue and red. It's not as uncomfortable as we just saw. Many movie posters are the same. Many movie poster designs also use blue and red tones. Such a poster, however, will have a very shocking feeling. It is also quite beautiful and comfortable. Then this indicates a problem. There is no unattractive color. It's just that the color matching is not done well. So we need to learn the skills of color matching. Let's take a look at these 2 illustration works again. The colors of the picture on the left are mainly rose, red, and dark blue. The picture on the right, there are also large areas of rose, red, and dark blue. But the visual impressions these 2 pictures give us are completely different, although the same color appears in the picture. Using different color combinations can give people completely different visual experiences because of the picture on the left, paired with bright yellow, chartreuse, and turquoise. The overall color will make us feel more lively and dynamic. It will have a stronger visual impact and a greater sense of rhythm. The picture on the right, it is also abundant in rose, red, and dark blue. However, it is paired with bright blue and small areas of yellow as accents. Bright yellowish green and cyan green were not used. This will make this picture look relatively calm, although there is a relatively strong color contrast relationship in the picture. But compared with the picture on the left, the overall color, its visual impact will be weaker than that of the picture on the left. By observing these pictures, we can all reach the same conclusion. Color matching is a very important part in design and painting. It will affect the intuitive feeling that a work gives to the audience. There are no unattractive colors, only unattractive color combinations. It is not difficult to find from these several pictures that each visually striking work has a strong color contrast. So next, let's first learn about the knowledge of color contrast. What is color contrast? Composed of 2 or more colors. The process of making comparisons in time or space is called color contrast. The strength and weaknesses of color contrast. It mainly depends on the angle between this color and the color it is compared with on the color wheel. 2 colors are in the color wheel. The smaller the included angle formed, the weaker their contrast relationship. Conversely, the larger the angle between colors on the color wheel, such a color contrast will be stronger. This is mainly because the color wheel is formed as a result of multiple mixtures of the 3 primary colors. There is a certain genetic relationship between adjacent colors. According to such a relationship, we are on the color wheel. The commonly used types of color contrast. There are these 4 kinds. 2 colors on the color wheel. An angle of no more than 60 degrees is formed between them. These 2 colors belong to the same kind of color. The contrast relationship between these 2 colors is called the contrast of analogous colors. Although yellow-orange and red-orange are marked in the picture, it is not only these 2 colors that have this relationship. The colors throughout the entire color wheel, colors that form an angle of 60 degrees or less in pairs, all have the relationship of being of the same color. Also, on the color wheel, the 2 colors form a 90-degree angle. Then these 2 colors belong to the relationship of adjacent colors. Color combinations with adjacent colors as the main colors have the correlation of adjacent color contrast. Colors that form a 120-degree angle on the color wheel are in a complementary color relationship. The color affinity of contrasting colors will be very weak. The visual contrast relationship will be strengthened, like the relatively common contrast between yellowish green and orange red. two colors that form a 180-degree angle on the color wheel. It is a relationship of complementary colors. It is also the group of color relationships with the strongest color contrast. The use of complementary colors for color matching is also a commonly used color scheme in our design. Next, let's take a look at the different color contrast relationships, respectively. The different visual experiences generated in character design applications. The pictures we have seen so far are all based on the color relationship of the color wheel. The generation of the color wheel is originally based on chromatic colors. We usually also use it in design works. The combination of achromatic and chromatic colors. This kind of contrast relationship emphasizing saturation belongs to 0-degree contrast. This color combination will use large areas of low saturation colors, such as black, white, and gray, then use small areas of highly saturated colors as embellishments to create a strong visual impact. The more common forms of color combinations include the combination of black and red, black and white and yellow, or the combination of black and yellow. This form of color matching is used in the design of some promotional posters. It is also a relatively common form. The reason why it is called 0-degree color matching because black, white, and gray are not on the color wheel. There is no clear angular relationship between them and the accent colors. Continuing to use the method of determining the contrast relationship by the angle between colors. This kind of contrast belongs to 0-degree contrast. This color matching method can choose highly saturated colors as accents. The contrast relationship of saturation in this way is very strong. Then add more levels of lightness differences. The relationship of color contrast will become more rich. Next, let's take a look at the color contrast relationship in oil colors. The color wheel is all solid colors. When using colors, it is necessary to blend them. So the entire color contrast related to colors can also be called harmonious contrast. First, let's take a look at the picture effect of similar color contrast. Analogous colors are relatively smaller in distance on the color wheel and have an included angle of less than 60 degrees. They have a certain degree of kinship, like the yellow and orange in our picture. Yellow-orange is composed of yellow and orange. It is obtained by mixing in a 1-to-1 ratio. The red-orange color is a mixture of red and orange in a 1-to-1 relationship. That orange is again made by mixing yellow and red in a 1-to-1 equal ratio. So inside the yellow-orange and red-orange ones, both have the color information of yellow and red respectively. So the intensity of the contrast between these two colors will be relatively weak. A picture that uses analogous colors for color contrast. Its visual stimulation is not strong. The picture is usually very soft. The color is also relatively safe and conservative. It is also a relatively common color matching method in our design color matching. This color scheme is not easy to make mistakes. It is the safest choice when there is no good color scheme. Such a color combination also has a drawback. It's just that the picture is too gentle and conservative. If the treatment of color lightness is not proper, the picture will seem a bit stiff and lack variation. The two pictures on the right are both character design diagrams that use the same type of color for color matching. The colors are easy to unify and harmonize, and they are very gentle. Next, let's take a look at the color contrast relationship of adjacent colors. Adjacent colors are those on the color wheel where two colors form a 90-degree angle. The distance between these two colors on the color wheel will be farther than that of the same color. So, although the two colors are related, but their kinship will be relatively weak. The contrast relationship produced by that color will be appropriately strengthened. We can take a look at the two pictures on the right. Use the relationship of adjacent colors for color contrast. Colors usually have a lively and cheerful feeling, a color combination that is more suitable for a cartoon style. If the achromatic color is further added to form a stronger contrast relationship of lightness, that color can easily create a rather fashionable feeling. However, pay attention to the proper handling of the area of the color. The area sizes of achromatic and colored areas should be well controlled. The area sizes of two adjacent colors should also be distinguished to determine the primary and secondary. Then let's take a look again next. The contrast relationship between contrasting colors and complementary colors. Contrasting colors are those where two colors form a 120-degree angle on the color wheel. Complementary colors are those where two colors form a 180-degree angle on the color wheel. Why view the color contrast from two different angles together? In our daily design drawings, colors like contrasting colors and complementary colors are more color combinations used. Then the contrast of these two colors is both on the color wheel. The colors form a relatively large angular color contrast relationship. Their visual impact will be stronger. It is also a color that is relatively difficult in our color blending process. Because these two groups of colors are relatively far apart on the color wheel, the degree of color difference is relatively large, and there is almost no color affinity. So the color contrast is even more intense. Then, if it is not handled properly, colors can easily give a sense of stiffness and disharmony. So we need to understand the ways of blending contrasting colors and complementary colors. The two pictures on the right, all of them are color combinations that employ contrasting or complementary colors. We can see that these two pictures give people a visual impression. It's still relatively comfortable. When using contrasting colors and complementary colors, we can appropriately add achromatic colors to harmonize the colors. Among multiple colors with high saturation, we can use achromatic colors to divide high saturation colors into blocks. When matching colors, small areas of black, white, and gray are used to fill between two highly saturated colors. In this way, two highly saturated colors can be isolated. Excessive visual stimulation will be weakened due to the addition of achromatic colors. It is also possible to reduce the lightness and saturation of one or even two colors. In that case, then we can have a color combination that looks comfortable. Take a look at the following two pictures. The color card of the picture on the left. It retains the highly saturated color of rose red of the flower. Meanwhile, the saturation of the green part color was adjusted. The lightness has also been adjusted. Retain the highly saturated colors in the color card. In this group of color combinations, the colors will have a relatively strong contrast in saturation. At the same time, a contrast in lightness was produced through the adjustment of the lightness of individual colors. A color combination with a relatively large color span, such colors will have a relatively strong sense of rhythm and liveliness. The picture beside it also has it, the combination of two contrasting colors. However, the color processing of this group is different from that of the previous group. The previous group has the effect of reducing the saturation of highly saturated colors and increasing their lightness. The overall color will have a much weaker sense of contrast, but it will also be easier to harmonize the colors. It can also be felt through these two pictures. The differences in colors in the picture bring people different visual experiences. The character design on the right also uniformly uses a strong contrast combination of red and blue. Use black and gold in combination to enhance the contrast relationship of lightness. The character on the right uses the complementary color relationship of purple and yellow-green for color matching. The complementary colors are harmonized by using skin colors close to white and deep gray leather colors. Of course, purple and yellowish-green also have differences in saturation and lightness. It took multiple reconciliations to obtain the current situation and the picture we see. From the above pictures, I believe everyone has also understood the knowledge of color contrast. Remembering the way of color contrast can help us save a lot of time for trial and error. Next, let's take a look at my color matching process. This is the character I have drawn the line drawing. I will use different shades of gray to distinguish different areas in the picture. For convenience when filling in the color, before filling in the base color, I will first draw the color card with color blocks. I first tried using the contrasting color combination of purple and yellow. Like to make this picture cleaner and brighter, I first chose purple with high brightness and low saturation. Then, a low brightness and low saturation purple was chosen for the brightness contrast. At present, the color saturation is very low. It is also necessary to add highly saturated colors to increase the saturation contrast. Convert the existing colors to black and white mode and adjust the lightness differences of different color blocks. Only in this way can different areas be better distinguished. The color is still rather monotonous. I added a brighter rose red, but this group of colors is a bit different from the color perception I expected. Too much purple gives a more romantic and luxurious feeling. I still want this picture to be cleaner and fresher, so another color scheme was tried. For this group, I chose the combination of blue and orange. The contrast between the warm and cool colors of these two colors will be more intense. In the same way, I adjusted the lightness and saturation of orange and blue, respectively. 5 colors with differences in lightness and saturation were retained as color cards. The color scheme for character design. The types of colors should not be too many, especially for game design. In games, characters are usually displayed in the form of very small thumbnails. In the small image state, there are too many color hues and too many block details on the character's body. It will cause a lot of noise in the picture. So, when doing color matching for characters, the color blocks are often made larger. Before recording the video, I had already divided the skin and hair into different layers and blocks. After choosing the appropriate color, you can fill it in between, which can save some time. The next step is to fill in the colors from the color card into the picture. You can fill in the area that has already been thought of first. I want the picture to be clean and fresh. I chose to use bright blue as the main color, so I filled most of the clothes in bright blue. Other colors are used as auxiliary colors and accent colors. Now, follow me to do this coloring game together. for today's sharing. I hope this video has been helpful to you who want to learn digital painting skills. I hope everyone can feel the joy of painting during the process. I will bring you more wonderful content. Stay tuned.